Go ahead and call this meeting to order. Town of Acton, Maine special open town meeting warrant, Tuesday, February 7th, 2012. To Robert Anderson, a constable of the town of Acton in the county of York, state of Maine. Greetings. In the name of the state of Maine, you are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of said town of Acton, said county and state qualified to vote in town affairs to gather at the Acton Town Hall at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, February 7th, 2012, to act on the following articles. We have a notice of special town meeting return signed and affirmed by Robert Anderson that it was posted on January 20th, 2012 at the Acton Town Hall, inside and out, the Acton Post Office, Milton Mills Post Office, the Acton Transfer Station, the Acton Trading Post, and the Acton Elementary School. Article number 1, to choose a moderator by written ballot to preside at said meeting.
I nominate Robert T. Gore.
Okay, Mr. Gore has been nominated. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Larissa Crockett. Are there any other nominations for moderator? Okay, the nominations are closed. State law does require that we elect the moderator by secret ballot. We need a minimum of 3 votes to continue. Mr. Poynt, would you be so kind?
I've got a spare one.
Thank you. Mr. Gore, you've been elected moderator. If you please come forward. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Robert Gore,
I, Robert Gore,
do swear
do swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state,
and of the state,
so long as I shall continue a citizen thereof.
so long as I shall continue a citizen thereof.
I, Robert Gore,
I, Robert Gore,
do swear
do swear
that I will discharge the duties
that I will discharge the duties
to the best of my abilities,
to the best of my abilities,
the duties incumbent upon me
the duties incumbent upon me
as moderator for the special town meeting,
as moderator for the special town meeting,
according to the Constitution and laws of the state,
according to the Constitution and laws of the state.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Very good. Signature here.
You.
Thank you.
Jennifer, ready? Good evening. First thing we're going to do this evening is salute the flag, so if everybody will stand. Elbow aside. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our rules governing this meeting tonight will be the main moderator's manual rules, 2005 edition. I am, as you probably already heard, Robert Gore, better known as Tom Gore, but for purposes of this meeting tonight and until the conclusion of this meeting tonight, my name is moderator. And as such, all comments coming from the audience are to be directed to the moderator. One of the moderator's job is to avoid discussions going back and forth across the floor. So if you have questions or if you have comments that you wish to make, please address them to the moderator. Next item of business, I would request unanimous consent for the CEO and the town clerk to speak at this meeting this evening. Is there any objection? Hearing none, we shall assume by unanimous consent that the meeting agrees that the town clerk and the CEO will be permitted to speak at the meeting tonight. I will also request if anybody has a cell phone that they turn those off for the duration of the meeting. Yep, thank you. I have to do mine too. Just figured that out. No, I must have turned it off already. Okay. The articles on the warrant tonight basically enact ordinances. Amendments that are appropriate from the floor tonight are amendments that would amend the articles as they are written and appear on the ballot. No amendments can be adopted which would affect the ordinance, though. The ordinance basically is an up or down vote by the meeting. So again, let me reiterate, the wording of the article on the warrant that is before you is amendable if you so choose, but the ordinance that those articles proposed for adoption by this town meeting are not amendable. Is there any question about that as we move forward? Okay. Hearing no questions, we will move on to Article 2. Shall the following amendments to the town's zoning ordinance be enacted? And Part 6.2.7.A reads, all new 1- and 2-family dwellings, their accessory buildings, renovations, or additions on existing structures shall be built in compliance with the 2009 International Residential Code, otherwise known as the IRC, as adopted by the state of Maine, including all amendments. Second part of that article reads, all new multi-family dwellings, commercial structures, their accessory buildings, and any renovations or additions on existing structures shall be built in compliance with the 2009 International Building Code, otherwise known as the IBC, as adopted by the state of Maine, including amendments. The Warrant and Finance Committee recommends approved as written, 5-0. The Board of Selectmen recommend approved as written, 2-0. Moderator, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion we accept the article approved as written.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded to adopt the article as written. Is there any comment? Any question? Would you please stand and because we're recording this meeting and it's being televised tonight, could you go up to the mic where Ken Paul is and speak into the mic so everybody can hear you and we get the questions on tape?
Good yourself.
Person was buy an older house that made built in the 1700s or 1800s, and you want to renovate it. It'd be awful hard to renovate that new house, that old house, according to these codes here. How would that happen?
Is there any person who would like to respond to the gentleman's question? Mr. Paul.
Depends on the scope of the renovation you're talking about. Simple interior renovations, it's not that big of a deal. But if you were to replace the roof system, cutting the whole roof off and stuff, you'd upgrade to the new standards and stuff. At that time, it wouldn't be that hard. There is an appendix in the back, existing building codes, that allows you to work with some of the stuff. And most of it's common sense. But it would be very hard to implement this whole thing for new construction into a renovation because, as you say, the 2x4 walls, you're going to have harder trouble getting into it. And it's the scope of the renovation. If it's a total renovation project, then we'd be looking at the more compliance with the code versus some simple interior changes.
I think most of the older houses are built close to being construction.
Yeah.
And they're really wide spaces in there. You have to put 2x6 studs in there.
Bring the energy code. It's the percent of work that you're doing. If it's over 50% of the assessed value, then at that time you would need to. But there's all types of products now out there that would bring that energy compliance into a 2x4 wall that you could get. Which I think energy, we're really talking Article 3 now, but.
Are there any additional questions or comments? No additional questions or comments? Then we'll move the question. All in favor of Article 2 as written, please raise your green sticker. Okay. Are you counting, Madam
No.
Clerk? Okay. Those opposed? Do you have a sticker, color sticker? Okay. Okay. The article appears to pass. Okay. Moving on to Article 3. Shall the following amendments of the town zoning ordinance be enacted? 6.2.7C. All applicable construction shall meet the 2009 International Energy Conservation Code, better known as the IECC, to regulate the design and construction of all buildings for the effective use of energy as adopted by the state of Maine, including all amendments. The Warrant and Finance Committee recommends approval of the article as written, 5-0. The Board of Selectmen recommend the approval of the article as written, 2-0. Moderator will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the article as written.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the article as written. Are there questions or comments? Yes, sir. Would you please go up to the mic? Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. The first one would be the meaning of the word applicable.
Okay. Mr. Paul, would you care to respond to the question?
Yeah, and the code itself is going to talk about applicable. If you had a non-heated garage, you would need to have it insulated for a conditioned space. But if you had a heated area, living space and stuff like that, that would be applicable.
What
So-
about outbuildings that you use for storage
Non-heated,
and
you're
so
not going to
forth?
insulate them.
So it only affects the living area or heated areas?
Heated areas. So if you had a heated garage, you have radiant heat in that garage floor, then you're going to have to insulate the walls and ceilings. But if it's non-heated area, you don't need to insulate it. Or non-conditioned area, because we could be air conditioning too. Some of us would be.
Did everybody understand the question and the response? Additional questions or comments? Sir?
I'm just wondering, say someone, is this just applied to people in a full-time residence? I'm talking about, say, you have a camp, and you come up here and you're just using it in the summertime, and you want to do some renovations on that, would you have to go by these codes here, even though you're not gonna be there year-round?
Ken, before you answer that, I think there may be some difficulty hearing the question, so could you restate your understanding of the question and then provide the answer?
Like I said, I was wondering if you own a camp, and you're not a full-time resident, I mean, you're basically coming here in the summertime. If you wanted to do any renovations on the camp, would you have to go by this code here? Because considering it's not a full-time resident, would you still have to follow these codes?
Mr. CEO, would you care to respond to that?
At the end of the article, it says, as adopted by the state of Maine, including all amendments. Currently, the state of Maine has an amendment for seasonal cottages. If you disconnect your water as of October 31st, you're exempt on the energy code. I don't know how long that amendment's going to stay in there, because as a national code, they were looking at heating and air conditioning, and we see quite a few air conditioning systems. The whole house is air conditioned in a lot of these camps too. So what is seasonal and temporary this year that you own it? Maybe it goes down to the kids, or you sell it to somebody else. Next thing, they're full-time residents and could be living there year-round. So most of the people that we've talked about this, I've encouraged them not to use the seasonal exemption because it's going to haunt you in the long run.
Additional questions or comments? Sir?
Sorry, but I gotta get back on that same question. And I know several people that have cottages, they are only here in the summer. They have no insulation, they have no inner walls on the cottages. They generally, if they need any heat, use a stove or whatever. What you're saying is that any structure is going to require having this code if you're living in there, no matter how long you're living there?
If you're building a new camp or doing a renovation, we'd be looking at the energy code. Not, you wouldn't have to insulate your camp just because the code came into effect if you didn't want to. You would have to do the renovation or trigger it somehow.
Okay, and then you said that this could, if applicable, could change.
Correct. A year ago, not even a year ago, back in September, we had our own building code already and the state took it away. And we're just trying to put that back in, so we can't predict what the state's going to do.
So if we approve this and then the state removes that, we have this with no applicability.
The state could put something in more stringent or take it away totally again. It's just hard to tell what the state level would be doing.
Okay.
Did that answer your question? or-
Yes.
Okay, because I think what you're asking is, you don't have to go and do this if this code goes into effect tonight. It's only if you go and get a building permit, whatever you do after that, and even if the state changes that exemption, unless you go get a building permit to do something new in your house, then you won't have to do any of this code either. It's only if you're gonna change your building and get a new building permit, then you, then you have to go by the code then. Is that correct? Okay.
One more
Go ahead.
point.
Go ahead.
What if you're gonna add a porch?
Unheated?
Does that put the whole building into the code?
Is the porch heated or air conditioned?
20 questions.
I'm just buying time to bring a photo up here. I need some shadow puppets.
Well, let's suppose they just decided to put a porch on, but it wasn't closed. They weren't putting in a heating plant to heat it, but
Yeah. Basically, you've got a building envelope. Whatever's inside of that building envelope, you're trying to heat. So if it's outside of the building envelope, then you wouldn't need it. It's not heated. You put your baseboard heat out into that porch, then you're gonna need to insulate it.
Any additional comments and questions? Or questions? Hearing none, we'll move the question. All in favor of Article 3 as written, please raise your green cards. Thank you. Those opposed to Article 3 as written, the article carries.
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Those opposed? Thank you. Very nice evening. Were you opposed to a... Okay.
Good job.
Very good. Thank you.